everyone. My name is Edith Chebet. I am a believer, a lover of Jesus, a discipler, and I enjoy working with people in their walk with the Lord. I am also a writer, and I am part of a pastoral team in our church. And aside from that, I love tea, and with anything that involves color, sign me up where there's color.
So before we start, you know the drill. We have a few icebreaker questions for Chebet, and then we'll get right into our conversation for today and tell you what we are talking about. So number one, what's one small thing that has been bringing you joy lately?
One small thing, my gratitude journal.
Your gratitude journal?
Yes, my gratitude journal. I think every time when I go to document at the end of the day, at the start of the day, just looking at a creation I made, and it's not a shameless plug.
It is. Plug yourself. Plug yourself.
But every time, because it contains pages
Yeah.
of all the good things God is doing in my life, and even all the hard things that He's doing in my life. So yeah, that really brings me joy.
Tell the people about Pages of Praise, those who may not know.
So Pages of Praise is my gratitude journal that I've created that helps you to be able to document your experiences, what happens throughout the day, how you're seeing God move in your life. So yeah, it's a way of cultivating gratitude in all seasons.
That's nice. If they want it, they can get it through
my Instagram page, Edith.Chebet_.
Great. For me, it will be my nails.
Oh.
Yeah. Shout out to my nail tech.
Oh yeah, they look nice.
They look nice. They really look nice. Question 2. If you aren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
I would be a doctor.
You'd be a doctor?
I would be a doctor.
You're dressed the part.
I would be a doctor. I would be a doctor for sure. It's because growing up as a young girl, I had this dream of taking care of people. I'm a firstborn, so it's like it comes
naturally.
Yeah, second to nature. So I imagined being in hospitals, taking care of people, the syringes. I'm not afraid of blood and anything. Yeah, I mean, it would scare me right now because I'm not a doctor, but I imagine back then. And to make it even funnier, I ended up doing a health-related course as my background.
For real?
Yeah, I did. I have a background in public health.
What a bet. I'm finding this right now. Oh my God.
Yes.
Interesting. For me, I'd be a journalist.
But you... Well,
but I am.
How different is it from what you're doing right
news
now?
At 9 p.m. or 7 p.m. Breaking news.
Shallow menu with the
bus. I think
from...
I used to love. I remember even when I was growing up, I was such a loud kid, and sometimes I would talk when the news is going on, and then my parents would be like, "Okay, sawa, tumezima TV, hebu tuambie sasa what you want to say." So growing up, I used to think, but these people who talk in the TV, they look so cool. I want to be a journalist.
Being paid to talk.
Yeah.
For a living.
That's something I'd do. Do you prefer sitting in silence or with music?
Music.
With music. You can't sit in silence?
No, I can't sit in
but
silence. But
music.
Because I love music so much, I feel like every time I'm in silence, even if it's just instrumentals, I would love some music to be playing in the background. But I can sit in silence. Solitude. That's one of the disciplines I find myself practicing a lot. But music all the way.
Every day. I think maybe music. Yeah, sitting in silence. I prefer music.
Your thoughts will haunt you.
I prefer music. They'll be all over the place.
You'll think A, B, C, D.
Yeah, I think I prefer music. Interesting. One word that describes your current season. Entrusted. Wow.
Yeah.
For me, it will be growing. Yeah.
Growing in
everything, in every aspect, in every area. Yeah. Growing. Last but not least, what is one thing you're trying to be more consistent with this year?
Creating content. Yeah, creating meaningful and I guess curated content that would bless people, encourage people, uplift people, and not just content for the sake of content. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to try and create that part of my life.
For me, it will be being consistent in the gym.
Shalom, gym.
Yeah.
The one gym we know.
Yeah, gym. Yes, I go to the gym. I had taken a break last year in November, so I went back this month actually. Yeah, so I'm hoping I'll be
So
consistent.
define your consistency 5 times a week, 3 times a week.
4 times a week.
times a
At least 4 times a week. But this week today is Thursday, but I've gone to the gym 4 times. So tomorrow I'll go to the gym and it's a 5/5.
Well done. Well
Yeah.
done. You're winning.
I'm winning.
Keep the same momentum for the rest of the year.
I shall.
Much.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm hoping to be consistent with. And we're done. We're done with the icebreaker questions. Let's get right into it. So our conversation today is titled Obedience in Motion. And as you guys know, our theme for this season has been from moving from plan to practice. And why we are the reason why we're speaking about obedience is because so many times we know the next step that we need to do. We already know, we can see it, but sometimes we become I'd say timid, or we shy away from moving into what we know you're supposed to do. So we have Chebet here who will be unpacking that for us. I hope you get to learn something. I hope you get to enjoy the episode. So Chebet, when you hear obedience in motion, what comes to mind?
It looks like showing up here today.
Yeah.
But I think obedience in motion for me is a responsive kind of obedience. It's not passive. It's not the kind that waits to be beckoned all the time. It's something that responds and waits and is active. I think in simple terms, I'd say it's showing up or saying yes. Yeah, I think that would define our obedience in motion.
Chebet, how do you then distinguish waiting wisely and delayed obedience?
Waiting, I like that you're saying waiting wisely. It's like there's a foolish kind of waiting.
Yeah.
I would think of it like someone who's perhaps baking, or trying to cook with dough. Then you put yeast and then you wait for it to rise. So I think waiting wisely would be like that expected time for dough to rise, and then delayed obedience would be you've waited so much it has even over fermented. Waiting wisely for me would be like that. It's like there's an aspect of waiting that is required in most of our life. But then now, if we push it too far, it becomes rotten, so to speak. And waiting wisely would look like having anticipation. It's like saying, hey, by the way, in whatever thing that God is inviting me to do, I know I may not be fully baked yet, again, to use the baking analogy, but I am willing to go back into the place where God is going to form me, God is going to shape me. While delayed obedience is like, whether I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not doing it because I don't feel like, or I'm counting myself perhaps insufficient to do it. And then you know what you're supposed to do, but you're faltering and wondering and questioning about doing it. Yeah.
I love that. So do you think, or have you found yourself disguising fear as discernment so many times? Have you found yourself in such a situation?
Because you've already said discernment, like the spiritual part is like, yep, that's a holy word.
Because I feel like that is one thing, especially we Christians. We're like, I'm being discerning. I'm discerning something, but in reality, you're just delaying to do that which you're supposed to do. So how do you distinguish?
I think every person, if they're honest with themselves, they have disguised fear as discernment or even preparation.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm waiting to be ready for this moment. And so many times, oh my gosh, so many times, because when I think of even previous in my life, I am a perfectionist. I'm a rehabilitated perfectionist. I'm still in rehab. So the Lord is checking me and just working his way through it. But when I think of that, many times in the steps of being asked to do something, I often think, okay, maybe I'm not too ready. So I need to be more prepared. But in the real sense, it's just fear. It's me saying, I'm afraid to fail if I actually go and do it. It's me saying, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, so I better wait until I fully know of the outcome. And when we talk about discernment, because sometimes God will speak and he's made his instruction plain. They're trying to justify every single thing. You're like, I need
an excuse for everything, like Moses.
This first fleece, whether Moses, man, speaking of obedience, I cannot not mention Moses so many times, because I feel like he brings out the aspect of how we question so many things. I mean, in Exodus, let's just go there for a minute. When he's picked out, is told, you're the one who's going to bring out the Israelites. He starts with saying, okay, who am I to go? He starts there, and then he gets to, Okay, so who will I tell them sent me? Continues to say, okay, what if they don't believe me? But I think the real question that should have been first, if he was honest, was, I'm not as eloquent.
Yeah.
I can't speak like these particular people. I stutter, I stammer. And so I think that was the fear that Moses had. And even I found myself carrying that same fear into spaces. They're like, I'm not as, I'm not ready to do this assignment you're calling me to. But then I'm saying, okay, I need to prepare more. I need to do this more. I need to do research. Yet God is just saying, by the way, Chebet, you step out and do it. You step out and do it. Yeah.
So when we are even as we speak about Moses, how then do you how do you build the muscle of immediate obedience? Because delayed obedience is disobedience.
That's right, yeah.
So how do you build that muscle? Because it's not easy. You don't one day wake up and now God has said this, I'm feeling this type of thing, I need to move. How do you build that muscle?
Takes time. See how you're going to the gym 4 times, 5 times a week, and it's not an overnight thing. Because sometimes I guess we wish we would be like Abraham. For me, if I think of immediate obedience,
it's Abraham.
Because he's told, go sacrifice your son,
and he wakes up and he moves.
Shalom, the Bible says early in the morning. I'm like, he could have even gone in the afternoon. It would have counted as obedience.
And he was like, first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning before anything, he says, I'm going to take this precious son and I'm going. And so for this muscle, I guess first giving ourselves time, but also not time that you open yourself with a window to rebellion.
Yeah.
But I think it's looking at God's selection of us to do everything he's called us to do. And that has really been a key lesson I carry. It's like for everything God could have asked Shalom to do, he has purpose that it's make it easy. For everything that he has asked Chebet to do, it's for me to do. So looking at it as God could have picked anyone, but he's chosen to use me in this particular moment and in this particular season. And so I'm even usually encouraged by Paul. I love Paul in the Bible. Oh, so very much. So very much. Because aside from every other, him being theologically sound and whatnot, I think his entry into the calling that God had prepared for him, ilianza tu na moto. Like, Paul, what do you mean the persecutor? But then God says something very important, because he says he's my personal choice. So of all the people God would have chosen to use as people who would take the gospel to the Gentiles, Paul was his personal choice. So for me, building that muscle starts with realizing, by the way, for me, this is where God has chosen me and this is what God has appointed me to do. And so it requires me to keep saying yes. It's like, I'm scared, but I'm going to say yes. Yes becomes the word that comes out frequently from your mouth. It's like, okay, I'm scared, but you know what? Yes. I don't know how it's going to come out, but absolutely yes. I am afraid of even the perception or how it would be received, or if it fails, if it succeeds, but still, yes. And so with time, giving yourself that grace and realizing God didn't give us things to shrink ourselves. Because I think sometimes we talk about self-perception so many times, but there's this thing called self-elimination that I think we need to unpack.
Talk about it.
And like honestly debunk in terms of how we actively moving things from plan to action, because we eliminate ourselves even while the plan is still cooking and is still in motion. You already said that one Shalom is
the better candidate
to actually go and do it. So giving ourselves time and then knowing that this is what God has chosen me to do and he's equipping me to do that.
I love that. You've talked about saying yes, immediately saying yes as your first response. Could you think of a time where saying yes immediately changed things for you, or it made a difference?
In saying yes, there are two ways. So you could actually say yes for yourself, or someone could push you to say yes. So I guess I'll give both.
Tell us both.
I remember, I said earlier that I have had a background of health. So I've worked in the health sector for...
Surprise.
What do you mean?
Surprise.
What do you mean? I know. I've done health informatics and then did epidemiology and disease control. Prevalence and all those things. So with that, so fast forward, I've done that. I've worked in hospitals, some organizations, but then I transitioned into ministry. And so it's like,
Huku ni wapi?
Where am I? But you
Yeah.
see, it was not a quick transition. So it's like, you see how you can put a hook and then you're pulling pole pole. So for me, God used writing to start luring me back, luring me into ministry. And so it began like that. So naturally, I'm very introverted, very, very introverted. So I like hiding behind the scenes. Surprise, surprise, we are here.
Yeah, we are wondering, even us, we are,
Surprise,
it's
we are
not
here.
easy to
Like,
believe.
God, what are you doing to me?
It's not easy to believe.
Inashtua.
Mm.
And so I knowing that I'm comfortable behind, I mean, because I started writing. So typing words for people to just read via their screens and whatnot. I started a blog. So that was easier for me. I would still communicate to people. I would share my life through words. So that was easier. So transitioning into now actually being in front of a camera and actually being doing ministry with people, I was like, this is a shock. What? God, you should have just left me in that place.
There was no manual.
There was no manual for transition. And then now you get into a space where there's a certain kind of history with people. It's like, oh yeah, I've been here 20 years.
Just
I grew
arrived.
up in the walls
I
of
just
the church.
arrived.
I just arrived. I mean, I loved that. I
Yeah.
have loved the Lord. I have served in different serve teams, but then the change and the switch to now having it as a full-time opportunity was like, wow, I'm in for a ride that it's like nishuke. I switch from a train to a bus or a bus to a train
Or a bicycle.
No. So it was really such a big transition. So I'm giving that to give context. So fast forward, so you know how a church does things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get opportunities, una pole pole tu hivi.
Slowly.
Like, oh yeah, you know what? You're going to help planning this team. Oh, kidogo hivi. Oh yeah, you're going to help co-lead, you're co-hosting a service and whatnot. So I remember one time, it was during a conference. A very, very major conference in our church. And so, I mean, at that point, we most of us, a couple of us were interns. We're like 3 of us who had been brought on board to start as interns. And so we appeared with pastors and reverends. So, usiogope sana, si umeanza pole pole, you know. So we've gone through a script. We are like, okay, so you'll start, give the opening prayer. I'm like, okay, I can pray.
This is something I do.
Just now praying, with a microphone with people watching online and inside the church as well. So I was like, okay, great. So I do the opening prayer. We had a very good flowing script. As a planner, as someone who likes to prepare, I was comfortable. I was like, great. So now all my scripts, I can think about them. Because, if you're a writer, there's a way you like to prepare your script before.
Yeah.
So you have to organize everything together. So we have a script, goes on well for the first half of the day because you are hosting for the entire day. Tell me why, in the middle of us going through, he gives me the microphone and says, "Hiya, Panda." I'm like, it was your turn. Can't you see the script? Can't you see?
Says your name.
And then now, I even sent myself, kujituma. Direct interpretation, nilijituma. Nikajituma. I was like, let me actually do a word draft. I'm like, okay, this Chebet, this pastor, so it would be easier. I'm like, but Pasi, it's you who's meant to go. And so, all the clergy, everyone is there.
Waiting.
He's like, shika microphone, Panda. Do you know there's nothing I could do, Shalom?
And all eyes are on you.
There's nothing I could do because it's like, take and go. So I look at that day, I remember in that moment, I was like, open up and swallow me. This ground, open up and swallow me.
But look at you, you're here. You are here.
The Lord's mercy. The Lord's mercy. So I remember going up, and God has such a beautiful way of covering. Did I tremble? Hey, absolutely. I was like, oh God. Like, who's seen here? Who's seen here? See how you go like, God. Embarrass me. You're embarrassing yourself.
You're embarrassing yourself.
This is the one. I was like, this is the one. I was like, embarrass yourself. So God really has a way of covering. And I remember, I went. I had no option. I went, I did it. But then the funny thing is, I remember even during the motion and transition, you see how you invite people to sit. So me mapping a story.
What was mama?
Actually, it was a transitional moment. So I was not up there for too long.
Okay.
So my friends kept saying, I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm like, you're distracting me and I'm already burning.
Let's continue.
I'm like, we continue. But then now I was like, I realized later, and I was like, you know what, guys, I used an icebreaker. I was like, thank you for standing with me. You may have your seat as this person comes up. And so even looking at it in that time, while I might have been afraid, I think that was such a push. He forced me to say yes in that moment. And I remember even going along after debriefing, I was like, you had trust. And that's one of the things I've realized, even in being obedient and going, saying yes to God every single time. I've realized that the trust people have in you really shapes how you embrace an opportunity. That
Gives you confidence.
because you're like, this person believes I can do this. And I think honestly, because in our space, it's like you grow with responsibility. You're like, yeah, you go. I'm like, there's a space for mentorship and being held and being guided. But then it's like baptism by fire, as we might call it. So it's a realization that, oh, this person actually believes I can do it. I can get to do what they're inviting me to do. So that has really changed. So every time I'm like, let's go. Let's just do, let's just go. So that really shaped how I embrace those hard moments that I'm tempted to quickly say no, that now I embrace it as a result of that trust. Yeah.
Trust. So whilst in the path of obedience, what makes you stay there even when sometimes the results are not visible, because you probably have a perception of how this path is going to look like, and then while ukiwa hapo katikati uko like, by the me, I didn't sign up for this, me, I want to go. How do you still stay there even though you're not seeing the results are not tangible then?
The thing about results, it takes time. It really takes time. I like using the analogy of a farmer, like with the seed and all those things. As they water, sometimes you can't, the roots are taking root, literally, but then we don't know how our things are working. But then in this context, for me, I look at it as a posture of trust, still trusting. Like, I may not see it. You see that song we sing, even when I can't see it, you're working. Yeah. I know it sounds very faith quoted. It's like, oh, yeah.
You're working.
You're working. Thank you. You're working. You're working. But the reality is sometimes the visibility also becomes a trap for obedience or disobedience on the other hand. Because there's a way visibility will now demand an applause. It's like, okay, you're doing that. Yay, well done. Episode 5, season 1, season 2, well done. So sometimes when it does not come, that can make you now not fully obey. So it's like your cycle of obedience that has started being shaped becomes stopped because you didn't get the visibility. But I live by one posture. I think I got it from a book, or I don't know where I coined the phrase, but I usually say, whether it suits a home or whether it shakes the world, I'll still do it. So soothing a home is in the context of, it's like small scale or a small scope of influence and impact. So it's like, even if whatever I do, that one Sunday Weekly Kairos or that one blog that I write that has blessed one person, it has encouraged me, I'll still do it for that one person. The day it will get to shaking the world, big stages, global platforms, I'll still find myself doing it. So taking myself out from the space of actually always seeing results, but also looking at the small scope influence, the big scope influence, because trusting that, you know what, things take time. And even in my own journey, if I can compare Chebet of 2018 and the Chebet of 8 years later, 2026, back then I would have short-circuited God's process of working in me if I just said, nimejaribu imeisha. I was there, I ate my words. Ikaisha, I would have stopped the process and God would not have been glorified in terms of just how patient I was with giving that time. Because it all takes time. It does take time.
And I love that you mentioned Chebet, the 18-year-old Chebet. So if you had to talk to 18-year-old Chebet, what would you tell her in regards to obedience in motion, in regards to moving when God says you move?
Oh, I feel like hugging. And the truth is, I think people in my, not previous life, I almost said previous life, but people
How many lives have you lived?
just one, just this one. Previously, those who maybe saw me through primary school, high school, I actually met someone the other day. They're like, "Oh my, what are you
Primary.
doing?" No, from now high school. We went to high school.
High school in Bali.
Kind in Bali, it's so far. It's very, very far. So they're like, "Oh my, what you do what?" Because
We are not.
what do you mean? Because naturally, because of my introvertedness, there was a formation with which I had been expected to take.
Yeah.
So it's like behind a computer, desk jobs. But I find myself now, I'm in the middle of people's lives and in church that requires activity, it requires giving of myself, things that I was never used to. So I think about that girl and I'm like, man, you didn't know what was in store for you. But I guess what I would tell her would be, your voice matters. I think in this context, I mean, for anyone else, it could be something else that you could be doing. I'm using voice because that's the space that God is really inviting me into right now. I would tell her, your voice matters. I tell her your voice matters because many times we are told to try and stifle or silence or reduce. But then let me just mention and give a shout out to a friend.
Go ahead.
I remember one time, I mean, we know this friend. Shout out to Nyawera. Mama M. Hi. I remember one time she was talking and she said something that has consistently stayed with me. She said, so long as you're in the room, your voice matters. It may not be the loudest, but so long as you're in the room, your voice matters. And so I think about that and I'll tell that girl, you know what? Your voice matters. And there's a form of unveiling that God is doing that may take 5 years, might take 3 years, 2 years. And that unveiling is meant to shine his light. So be patient for the unveiling, you young Chebet, you young, whoever is watching, be patient for in just waiting to see what God is gonna do. Yeah.
The problem comes when we try to short circuit it and we feel like, hey, by the way, I'm not cut out for this. Let me get another step. And the minute we do that, we start walking outside the will of God, and then it becomes chaos. So just stick to it, stick to what God is saying, and yeah, he'll make it clear to you. And even as we wind up, Chebet, I want you to finish this statement for me. Obedience in motion means, what does it mean to you?
Saying yes.
Saying yes.
Saying yes. Sometimes if I know the full picture, sometimes, most times, even if I don't know the full picture, because it's very scary, obedience in motion is allowing the sufficiency of God to be seen and not me assessing my own self and letting just God do his work. Yeah.
Obedience in motion means saying yes. That's great. Any last words to anyone who is watching? Anything you want to tell them? Who do you want to give a shout out to? Nataka kutuma salamu wapi?
Like a richo kwenye majani chai. Oh my gosh, I think I would leave an encouragement. Whatever scope of influence you're in, whether you're working corporately or anything that you're doing, it doesn't matter. The sufficiency comes from God. I'll quote a scripture. Can I quote a scripture?
Yes.
Yeah.
We quote scriptures, yeah.
3:5 says that our sufficiency comes from the Lord and not of ourselves. Yeah. So no matter how trained you are or how you think you're meant to appear a certain way or get ready to a certain point, let that sufficiency that fuels you into action come from God. And you're gonna do great things.
Yeah, that our sufficiency comes from God. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I hope you've learned something. Please share with us on the comments, what have you learned? What are you going home with? And see you next week. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.